Well, okay, let's get started.
Okay.
People will join later. So yeah, it's already recording, so all good. So welcome everyone. This is Kleros community call of January 17 of January. I hope you all had a good beginning of the year. We typically do our community calls on our Telegram group. Where all the community is, but we decided to also do some maybe once a month another group call on Twitter Spaces because well, there is some different audience that may want to learn what's going on about Kleros, and they don't spend that much time in our Telegram group, so we decided to open this a bit more to more people. So we're going to do a little overview of things that have been happening with Kleros in the past few months. This is not as granular as we do our calls on Telegram because the audience may not be as familiar with everything. So I would like to start maybe with an overview of what is our big project for this year and what has been our big project in over past time. That is the development and the launch of Kleros 2.0, which is a new version of the Kleros protocol that is rebuilt from scratch, and it's based on a lot of research we've done over time. I'd say since the beginning of Kleros 1.0, which is the one that is working now, that was launched in 2019, we have been doing research and trying to understand better about user behavior. Well, we have found lots of different improvements in world of blockchains, new development tools that were not available before because it was early days, new concepts, new primitives, like for example, civil resistant identity, for example, proof of humanity. Other things that happen is the development of SBT tokens, soulbound tokens, is a way to give identities some properties that can be used to improve how Kleros works and to improve how the system of selecting of jurors and incentivizing participants work in Kleros. Maybe I would start with William, who is our director of research and the mastermind of all of the research that went into the development of Kleros 2.0, to give us an overview of what's new about Kleros V2 and why it's cooler and why it's more secure and why it's more flexible than what we have now. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So the big thing about Kleros 2.0 is that it's going to be modular, so that you can add like different voting and different incentive systems in as like modules that can be used.
Can you hear William?
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you, William. Federico, we can hear.
Can you hear me at least?
It's an issue with. Yes, we can hear you. It's an issue with Telegram. So, but with
okay. Well, we fix.
I can tell you when his
William. Yeah, audio. Let me maybe give.
Actually, Federico.
I see all of the thumbs up. Are you there, William? Now?
Actually,
I'm there.
Actually, we can hear him.
Okay, so let me just.
But it's an issue.
We can go to William later. Let's start by another thing then, which is I want to let you know that I'm going to go to Mexico on the week of March 11. If any of you is from Mexico or is connected to Mexico, we are going to organize a few events there because to do a bunch of promotion. So Mexico gave us a very, very nice news in the history of the project. First, in 2020, there was the first Kleros ruling was accepted in a traditional court in Mexico in a real estate lending landlord and tenant dispute, which was there was a contract that was sent to Kleros to arbitration, and then Kleros made a decision, and this decision was accepted and enforced by a traditional court. It was the first time a blockchain arbitration ruling was enforced in the real world, if you want. And last few weeks, we had another excellent news coming from Mexico. That is the fact that they just, the Congress approved a new law for dispute resolution and alternative methods for dispute resolution. And they mentioned different technologies. They mentioned AI, for example. And one of the technologies they mentioned as legally valid under Mexican law is decentralized justice, which is, as you know, the Kleros way to approach dispute resolution. So this is extremely important news, and this has also brought lots of attention from different consumer companies from Mexico in the fields, for example, of exchanges, in the field of fintech, even in the field of insurance technology. So lots of new companies that doing innovation in a bunch of areas could potentially use Kleros for addressing disputes that happen in those digital platforms. So this is something that we are intending to develop way more as a business development effort. And so March 11, that week, I'm going to go to Mexico. So if you happen to be in touch with people who would be interested in this type of solutions, like having implementation of Kleros in their company, even if it's not a Web3 company, even if it's a Web 2.5 company, we are interested in speaking to them because this is also a place where Kleros can provide the solutions. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Get in touch with Gina or with me directly, and we can arrange something. There's going to be at least one meetup to be organized on that week, probably on March 14, but to be confirmed, and I will let you know, of course, when we know it. So yeah, another important step of Kleros in Mexico. I don't know if William is there now. Are you there, William?
I'm as here as I was before. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Federico, William, we can hear William, but it seems like you cannot.
Let's
so
just let's skip William. Maybe you can speak later, William. Let's go then to the next. So let's assume that William spoke and explained how Kleros 2.0 is intended to work, what are the innovations we have in this new version, and now let's go to the implementation of this new version of Kleros 2.0. And so let's go with JB, who is our head of builders and engineering. And so JB can tell us a bit of very big news that happened last week. That is the launch of the Kleros 2.0 testnet on the Sepolia test network. So JB, let's see if you can speak and you can tell us a bit about what's that and why it's important and how can people test it and what comes next.
Yes, hi everyone. I don't know if you can hear, there's a police passing by. Okay, there's more actually passing by. Not sure if you can hear. It's pretty loud on my side, but okay, it's going on. All right, so we've launched the third testnet on Arbitrum Sepolia 2 weeks ago. And that was not just a migration to another network, but also the release of many features and improvements we had been working on for several months. So the user interface, I think, looks much better for the Quartz V2 frontend. We've already got some feedback actually from the community that's very valuable. And we started implementing some of it. So I think the feedback is mostly about making it easier for the users, for the jurors to know if there is any action that they should take on a case where they might have been drawn. And also to know if basically they're not required, if they haven't been drawn, and it should be really clear so they don't waste time. So, all right, so that's the front-end part. We've also more recently last week we've been deploying to our DevNet, so it's not yet available on the testnet. the commit reveal, and the dispute resolver, which is now integrated directly into the code frontend. What does it mean? In V1, if you wanted to create a dispute manually, you had to go to a different app and yeah, different UX, and yeah, and now it's more consistent and integrated with the core frontend, and it's going to be released if not tomorrow, if not today, tomorrow. What else? So yes, now also more on the, let's say for developers on the integration side, we are actively building the SDK at the same time as we are building the, not sure if it's the first or maybe second arbitrable that works on V2. At least it's the first migration of an existing V1 arbitrable app. So the Espro is being implemented. We already have a front end that's taking shape, and now we are working on making it play well with the, so ironing out the the interactions between this arbitrable app and the SDK, which should make it really easy for the integration of new arbitrable apps going forward. So that's where we are right now. I probably missed a few other details. I'll mention it if I remember. Yeah, I cannot hear anyone either. Maybe I was disconnected.
Well, I'm back now. I had no idea what was going on, but I couldn't hear any of you. So yeah, well, I mean, I was speaking, and Yami had no idea that you were speaking, and I was speaking on top of you. So definitely, this goes to the meme pack for sure. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't hear anyone. So if something doesn't go wrong in the in the Twitter Spaces, it's not a Twitter Spaces. That's what I meant. Okay. So that's the update about the development of V2 and the testnet. We are getting really good feedback. We had done the testnet before, but this is way more advanced. So if you have tested this before, but not the latest version, do take a look because this is looking great now, and it's getting lots of very good reviews, and it's going to get even better. Okay, so William, I don't know if you got to speak or not in the end. So if you know,
not really. So can people hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Good. So scrolling back and like presenting motivation for V2. So imagine this was before JB's like discussion of how it's being implemented. We've learned from years of research that like ultimately wanted dispute resolution systems to be flexible, and we've thought about how what kinds of flexibility one needs in like a blockchain dispute resolution system, and ultimately there's sort of two kinds of flexibility that one really wants that we're implementing with this new version. One, you want to be able to resolve disputes on different chains. You want to have, like in Kleros, we generally want to have the court contract that handles all of sort of like the logic around like who's drawn, who's resolving the disputes, like put in a single place because that creates additional sort of attack resistance. Imagine if you had like many courts, one on each blockchain, that would split up the liquidity of PNK people staking on different chains, and each individual version would be less resistant to attack than if you had everyone in one place. Nonetheless, you want Kleros to be able to handle cases on lots of different chains. So we thought about how this sort of multi-chain architecture can work. How do you bridge results? We've developed sort of custom bridges with VIA that can be adapted to this. That like ultimately might have like larger ambitions beyond just Kleros, but like specifically meet Kleros's needs from bridging this like the results of disputes to other chains where they can be implemented. And then also within Kleros, you want to have the flexibility to have different kinds of voting and incentive systems, different kinds of mechanisms, which can be adapted to different kinds of cases. Like ultimately in all cases, in different kinds of cases, there'll be different trade-offs. Maybe sometimes you want different kinds of outputs. You have like discrete, like multiple choice answers. You have a handful of possible results of the case. Maybe you want to produce a number value. And how do you do things like that in a shelling point based system while remaining attack resistant? Like if you naively have sort of multiple choice voting, you have lots of different choices. Maybe you split the honest votes of the jurors between lots of different similar choices, and that can let like an attack choice sneak through. Or even not an attack, but just like a wrong choice that sort of was distinguished and become the shelling point because it's different from the others. So we've thought about like different voting systems, different incentive systems that can perform well in situations like that. And this modular structure of the court will allow the community through governance voting to add new modules over time that we maybe haven't even fully researched yet. We haven't like imagined to handle future kinds of use cases. So when V2.0 launches, we'll mostly have the kinds of modules that look like the court that we have now. But then as time progresses, we'll gradually add different kinds of voting and incentive systems.
Yeah, I mean, and why this matters, you might be asking. Well, because as we have these new modules, we can address like wider number of use cases. For example, so when we started, Kleros was only like one token, one vote, and to be drawn to be juror. It was pure token voting, and so this is fine. But there's a number of use cases where people want to have, for example, one person, one vote, which was not possible with just token voting. Sometimes people want to for example, make sure that those who are drawn to vote on a dispute belong to some community or have some specific skill, which was not possible to address with the first version of Kleros. So all of these different use cases that are extremely important for, I mean, all of these features that are very important for some use cases were not possible before and will be possible after we start releasing the modules of Kleros 2.0. So as William said, the first thing is going to be launch a Kleros 2.0 version that is like feature parity with the current one. But then we will start adding new modules. And these new modules will enable a bunch of new use cases because they will enable new features like what I said, one person, one vote, and other things. And this is what in the end will bring a lot more of adoption, especially in use cases where there is, for example, some requirement to comply with some arbitration regulation. For example, arbitration regulation, let me just mention one of the places we have studied, like Spain, require that people, that jurors could be identified potentially. And this was not possible to do with the current version of Kleros. So in the next one, by a combination of proof of personhood protocols and SVTs, this will become a possibility. And then this will enable Kleros to become acceptable and valid dispute resolution method in Spain. And then this will enable lots of consumer use cases that are like very massive that cannot be solved now, but will be able to be solved in the future. So that's why we spend so much time also and effort in trying to do like all of this legal research to understand in which use cases and in which jurisdictions Kleros can be implemented and can be applied. So we have like a very lots of different use cases. Each of them maybe have different requirements in terms of what they need as voting system, what they need as cost. Kleros 2.0 is going to be way cheaper. This is very important for consumer claims. For example, as you know, we are working with an exchange called Lemon, which uses Kleros to resolve disputes between users and the company. And in this case, we do need lots of, first, one person, one vote, and then we need also to be very, very cheap, because this has to solve cases that are consumer and that sometimes are just worth a couple dozen of dollars. And one of the most important things on which we are going to start focusing in the future, especially after the launch of Kleros 2.0, is about how the interactions work between Kleros and AI, in the sense that there is, well, as you know, an emerging legal tech ecosystem with lots of different companies popping up. And some of them are doing AI, and the ChatGPT and more generally the GPT models are bringing new possibilities in having AI provide guidance to parties that are involved into a dispute. So speaking of which, we have here Rob, who is one of our earlier community members, who just yesterday released a mediator bot, a Kleros mediator bot that can be used to onboard off-chain disputes into Kleros. And well, I mean, why would I tell you more if we have the creator here? So maybe Rob, you can tell us about what the mediator bot is and why it matters, and what's the roadmap for that.
Thanks, Fedi. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so we've just released the first iteration of the mediator bot, which is essentially a GPT that you can gain access to if you have a subscription on OpenAI's GPT-4 subscription model. It's listed on the GPT store, and it follows a comprehensive set of instructions that essentially facilitate the process that Federico and I sort of outlined earlier in the summer about the mediation MedArb Kleros mediation bridge. So the idea behind it was to essentially walk a disputing party through the scenarios that would essentially, if they were unable to resolve their dispute in mediation, that it would then help them present their case in a format that was suitable to be uploaded within Kleros. Now, you know, the dilemma that we have is, where do you start with this process? Like, how do you get your first cases? And the thought process was, you know, why not use AI to sort of initiate the process and to potentially bring in some low value cases onto Kleros. So we now have a way for parties to engage in essentially in mediation for free, and the outcome of which is, if they're still unable to settle their disputes, they can take it to Kleros for a rather small sum in comparison to most other forms of ADR. So I see this as being, you know, a sort of a birth of a new form of super cheap dispute resolution that uses obviously the decentralized justice protocol of Kleros with AI in partnership. It's actually a two-part tool. The second part I haven't actually pasted on the group yet, but essentially what it needs is the mediation AI needs is a tool that will essentially help parties produce their statement of claim and statement of response. So what will happen is, parties are in dispute. One party will obviously need to outline what's gone wrong, and that process in the traditional world will be rather expensive and involve lawyers, there's no reason why that can't be guided by AI with numerous caveats, but it could easily be integrated into a workflow that essentially does this for a party, and then it provokes the responding party to do something similar, and from that you then have the first hurdle of actually getting the cases on a platform to mediate. So by starting that first process of helping parties in disputes explain what's gone on, and to essentially put their case and their response together, that's almost the gateway. That's how I see the gateway into potentially a mediation, or potentially into the Kleros court systems if they didn't want to go in, if they didn't want to mediate and they wanted to take it straight to decentralized arbitration. So that's the roadmap. But we, like with most of these things, it needs comprehensive testing. The both sets of GPT have substantial prompts behind them and numerous documents. So there's lots of scope for them to go wrong, or at least for us to fine-tune things and to word things differently should different scenarios be presented. So it's certainly something that I think it would be good to get as many people testing as possible. But yeah, that's the logic, and hopefully it will be helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. That was an amazing, and I do encourage everyone to test it, because as more people test it, so it will improve faster. So this idea of that something could go wrong in some AI process, that's what at the core of what we call a dispute systems design. It is a discipline that tries to combine different elements of technologies and processes in order to construct a procedure that will solve disputes in a fair and efficient way. So this involves technologies like AI and Kleros. Also involves ideas like arbitration or mediation arbitration or mediation, which are different ways to approach disputes, sometimes in a sequential way, sometimes in different paths. All of this is what we research a lot is about dispute system design, and we have for example, now one of our team members who is a researcher, Jan. He's doing a research stay at Stanford, and he's studying at the Codex Center for Legal Informatics, which is the most important innovation center for law in the world. And he is also being guest lecturer at some subjects there at Stanford. One of them is online dispute resolution, where he's teaching with Colin Rule, who is the guy who developed the dispute resolution system at eBay and PayPal, and also Janet Martinez, who is maybe one of the world experts in dispute systems design. So all this to say that we see the future of dispute resolution as this combination between AI tools and Kleros and other tools that will belong more to the realm of traditional adjudication. So if you want to learn a bit more, you can read the article I published last December at the American Bar Association, where I discuss a bit of what are the pros and cons of using AI in the resolution process. And basically, AI is amazing for a number of things. It can, be way more efficient than humans in a lot of things. It's faster, it's immediate, it works instantaneously, but has two problems. One of them that can have biases, which might end up unfairly punishing one of the parties. And second, that all of these machine learning models, they don't really explain how they decide. So in the business of dispute resolution, the outcome is not the only thing that matters. I would say maybe it's a bit of what matters. The other thing that matters a lot is the justification. Imagine if you have judge that makes a decision and says, okay, Alice won, and then doesn't give any reason for that. So that is not going to be very convincing for parties, both for the winner and the loser. So AI doesn't give you those justifications. And this is where Kleros can be a complement to AI in order for people to understand the logic of why a decision was made. And also to potentially correct outcomes where the AI made a mistake. So this is why the future dispute resolution is going to be a combination of these both technologies, sometimes sequentially, sometimes in complement. And this is something we have been researching quite heavily in the past few months, and we will have way more to say about this in the future. But do take a look at my article at the American Bar Association of last December. And just one more thing to mention, because it's important in regards to dispute systems and V2. So the Kleros 2.0 is going to have also at some point a module about justification of decisions. So now in the current version, jurors, they can provide a justification for their decision. They can or not do it. I mean, they can just write gibberish if they want. They still have an incentive to explain why they made a decision. This is because they want their side to win, to be, well, rewarded in the way Kleros works. But they are not, there is not a mandatory thing, it's not enforced. So in the future, we will have potentially court that we call juror misbehavior court that will be able to, well, try to incentivize a number of actions that are not correctly incentivized now. And one of these is, I mean, punish jurors who don't provide good justifications. I don't know, William, if you want to comment something about this.
Yeah, I mean, that's more or less the idea. Basically, we've realized through our years of research that there are a lot of things where you want to build into the incentive system to sort of complement the financial incentives that exist in V1, where in order to make the decision whether it's going to be punished or not, you need to make the same kind of subjective off-chain judgment that you need to solve a Kleros case in and itself. So it makes sense for a lot of sort of aspects of the code of juror conduct that they like that you could trigger like a secondary dispute where Kleros itself can judge whether they've respected their obligations as a juror, including whether they provided good evidence when that's required.
So there you go. So that is going to be very important for a number of use cases. I would say most use cases, because it is extremely important that there is a good justification for decisions, even though people already do justify what they decide. So there is that, and this is something we are researching on how to do it in a good way. And then maybe we can speak a bit also about Kleros and DAO governance and how we are thinking for the future as Kleros as a tool that can improve how DAOs make decisions, that can improve how I mean DAOs govern their their communities. We have been researching this for a long time. The first time I spoke about this was in the Osaka DevCon in 2019. I gave a talk in a workshop about Kleros as a Supreme Court. And we had a very interesting case happening a few weeks ago of someone that tried to steal funds from the Proof of Humanity DAO. So when Proof of Humanity launched as a project, the Kleros cooperative supported the project by buying some tokens of UBI, and so the funds that the cooperative sent were sent to the DAO, the Proof of Humanity DAO. Then, well, all of the story of the DAO. If you don't, then you can read Jamilia, Sophia, and Tara research, ethnographic research about the Proof of Humanity governance drama. I'm not going to go into that now; it will take too long. But Shin is going to share the report. It's like 50 pages report. But so those funds stayed into the DAO until this day. And a few weeks ago, it was detected that someone sent a transaction to the governor to try to redirect those funds into some address. And I guess I will let Alex maybe tell you the rest of what happened there.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, you explained it very well. Basically, it's important to note that the proof of humanity DAO is a real DAO. Instead of many DAOs that are claiming to be DAO, and they are not decentralized. Why? Because they rely on multisig. And the difference is with proof of humanity DAO, basically it relies on the governor. The governor, it's a smart contract that basically controls the fund of the DAO. So currently there is 46 ETH inside the smart contract. And basically it's a system of optimistic governance. And that's really interesting. And I think it's really the future for the DAO. Because basically it's anybody can push some proposals and push some transactions basically, but they need to put a deposit basically. And basically the system is called optimistic because you assume that the people pushing the transactions are right. So you are optimists. You assume that the transactions were voted in a proper manner in a governance. And basically, with this system, there is the security model relying on the deposit. So if somebody is trying to do a malicious transaction, and that's what happened, the guy was trying to steal the phone from the DAO. Basically, he puts some deposit, and it's 4 ETH. So it's a big deposit. And the guy basically lost this deposit because it was like trying to steal the phone. Somebody from the community of Kleros just post another list of transaction that was the right one and managed to get basically to control this attack. So this is very important to notice that for DAO, optimistic governance is more efficient as it involves less work basically. So people don't have to you don't have to have I don't know 9 people signing the transaction, but you need to have a vigilant community and you need to have notifications set up in order to catch this kind of malicious transaction. So yes, we are using this technology as well for Kleros DAO, but also in other kind of DAO. And 1inch, I talked about it. It's a big one. They are using something very similar called the Zodiac module. Basically, it can be easily plugged in like a Gnosis safe. And if you want to decentralize your multisig, just let me know. And recently, yes, we are going to do a POC as well with a venture capital DAO called Blockup DAO that wants to use this module as well to invest in a decentralized way. And one more thing, I also talked recently to some lawyers, and I think it's interesting to understand that with the new regulation, especially in Europe with MiCA, basically the regulator is going to really look into different projects to see if they are decentralized or not. And when you have a multisig, you are not really decentralized. So having a tool that allows you to decentralize really your project is also a good thing for a regulator because you will really fit in the decentralized legal category and it's a good security measure for your setup. So yeah, feel free to contact me if you are interested in decentralizing your multisig or your DAO. And on this topic, yeah, as well, I will do a talk on Metagame community, especially on this topic. Metagame is a community focused on DAOs. Next week on Friday, 26th. So as well, feel free to join and ask questions there as well. If it will be on their Discord.
There you go. So this is not only for preventing governance attacks like what happened in the case of this guy trying to steal money from the DAO. Also, it's also a tool that can improve the trust between like the DAO and the community. Let's say some, I don't know, team member wants to make a transaction to send funds to an address, and they say they will use that for renting a yacht and doing a party in the Mediterranean. Someone could challenge that transaction and say, hey, wait, look, dude, buddy, the money of the DAO is not for you to make parties in the Mediterranean, it's for building. So potentially this could be challenged, that idea of sending funds with that purpose, and then it would go to Kleros, and Kleros jurors would check, look, are people allowed to use funds of the DAO to make parties? And then maybe they will find out that no, so people trying to do that would be overruled, and they would lose the deposit that was sent for that. So there's lots of different applications that make sure, first, that it prevents governance attacks, and also it increases the trust of the community in what actions are going to be done by the DAO, right? So this will make sure that the funds are spent in what the constitution of the DAO expects them to be spent. So this is a very important tool of DAO governance, which, as Alex said, so it's going to be more and more important as we start having more real DAOs and less multi-sig branded as DAOs, which is what happens in many cases. So this tool is going to be extremely important. Another thing maybe worth mentioning is that we have been revamping Kleros Curate. This is a tool that is used to curate all of the different types of items. The main use case we have now is cryptographic tokens and also address tags that are sent to this app, and then the community verifies that the token complies with the rules of being not a scam, not a Ponzi. And in the case of address tags, this is make sure that the address that is submitted to the whitelist is not, impersonating a real one, and it's a fake thing, to make sure that to steal from people. As you know, we are always dealing with people trying to steal things at Kleros. So this is a really cool tool that is. We started with this tool in 2019 with this app called Tokens that was used by Bitfinex, the ERC20 exchange of Bitfinex, and then now this Tokens app we stopped using and moved to Curate, and so this is currently being used by MetaMask and also by Etherscan to tag their addresses in their website. So this is a really cool. I typically call this private compliance tool that is like the community organizing to detect and punish bad actors trying to impersonate others or try to steal stuff. So we are developing a new version. It's an improved version, not a fully new version as Kleros 2.0. That it will ease the process of submitting a lot more. And there is a reward program in this regard. Maybe Jean, you can comment a bit about the rewards for people who make the submissions.
Yes, we are making. We have an ongoing rewards program that we basically we make. We have a couple of lists, 3 lists. One is of tokens, one is of contracts, and another one of tags that basically name contracts in the blockchain. And these 3 lists have. If you make a submission to these lists, you get a reward in PNK. So we had this reward program going for 3 months now, and we just renewed it for January. So now it's a great opportunity to make submissions and get a really good reward in PNK. And next month we will be changing a couple of rules, so it's easier to basically preview how much PNK you earn for each submission. And the idea right now is to cover the biggest amount of contracts and tokens and basically the ones that are most used. So they also provide so we also provide a good experience for users. For example, of our Kleros Scout MetaMask Snaps extension, when you are interacting with a page or a contract, and you want to see if the token is verified or if it is known or if it matches the current site where you are interacting, interacting. So having more contracts and tokens and addresses tagged help the consumers of this list to provide a better experience for the users.
Yeah, so we want to have as many addresses as possible, so we will have more people wanting to use this app, and so this will bring more traction. So, I mean, there is at this moment, maybe in some parts of the world, your kids are on vacation, so maybe they are at home without, doing anything all day. So why not have them make some money by, learning about blockchain and submitting addresses to this curate registry? They will earn some money, and they will have something to do on the summer, and also on top of that, they will not be all day without doing anything, right? And they will learn about blockchain. So that's a great use case for the summer,
and
right?
What? Yes, and I believe it's a great way of entering the Kleros Jor ecosystem and staking these tokens, these rewards, and getting some APY out of it, and also getting some cases that on Gnosis chain it's a little easier to stake even a small amount of tokens, and there are no huge fees. So that's it's also just the beginning of in this experience in Kleros.
And on top of that, if that has some PNK tokens, also this will improve the performance because it will have more traction for Kleros in general. So that is also going to benefit all the family. As they call it, generational wealth. This is what your kid can help you do this summer. Okay, so we have that. Now this is already a bit long, but I'm just mentioning one last thing. Maybe we are developing the escrow 2.0. This is a new version of the escrow app we have now, and the escrow app is it was the first one we developed. So it was built with super old technology, and so it's old, and some things are slow, but now we are doing one from scratch, and it's way faster. The interface is way more friendly. We typically thought about escrows in the context of like freelancers, like Alice and Bob dispute between the video producer and the designer, something like that. Then also we had in mind marketplace type of disputes, and what we learned over time is that there are so many more use cases. For escrows, one of them, just to mention maybe two, one of them is construction. We have seen lots of interest recently in construction disputes in the cases like there is a dispute between the parties because there was a delay or there was a problem with the quality. So one of the ways in which this could be solved is through like an escrow app where money is released as milestones are met, and there could be disputes on whether some milestone was met. We had some discussions with the actual a construction arbitrator. Rob, as he mentioned, works in construction, but we discussed it with more people. So this is an interesting potential use case. We will publish soon something about this. And then other real world asset claims can also be in the context of escrow transactions. Just one more. Think of when you have a leasing for a property, and then in many countries, when you rent a apartment, then they ask for a deposit, and of course they never give you back the deposit because they always claim that the apartment was not in good condition, and so what can you do? I mean, not much for you to do because you have to go to court. And what if you could put that deposit into an escrow, and then the landlord, if they want to keep your deposit, they have to prove that you you didn't take care of the apartment properly, and then there would be a panel of jurors who could analyze photos or whatever other evidence is necessary, and make a decision on that. So this is another escrow type use case that we have actually explored with some potential partners, and it has the advantage that people are already used to put money in escrow for renting some apartments. So it doesn't have to add some friction, adding an action or a capital deposit that people don't do now. So this is kind of how it works currently. So what if we could do this on blockchain, and what if this could be done on a Kleros 2.0 escrow secured by Kleros in case a dispute happens? So this is another thing on which we are working now. Maybe I will let Marcos say something if you have some final comment, and I guess the rest already spoke.
Yeah, I have a small comment about the escrow before Marcos. This week we saw a couple of posts about who is building the Upwork in Web3, and like a platform for doing tasks or freelance work. And we will have Kirsten talk about it, about Talent Layer, which is a project that is building infrastructure for building Upworks for Web3 next week on our community call. And they are also launching a GPT tool for finding freelance work that I've tested, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, stay tuned on for
Marcos.
Okay, I will try to be as fast as possible, but yeah, from the BD side, we have a new integration that can be announced. This one is the integration with Noves. Noves is a transaction insights API solution that is looking to integrate Kleros metadata into their solution. Then we have been talking with a few centralized exchange from Mexico and another Web2 projects or companies from Mexico because of what Federico already mentioned. We are having a few calls with them, so maybe we're going to have some updates in the next weeks. And then some other calls with another projects that are already integrated with Kleros and Pairis, and another Web3 integrations that we already have with Kleros.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when we say all of this in the same call, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, you might be asking how many people work at Kleros. I mean, we're like 20, so it's not a lot. We do have a big community, which helps in many different things. But yeah, also, as you know,
one last thing. This week we received 2 new lemon cases. So the jurors that are here, pay attention. Maybe in the next days we are going to be uploading these cases into the court.
Yeah, after some recess in the summer, so New Year, so it starts again, so it begins. So this is a bit of an overview. We have not addressed all of the things because it would be, I mean, I don't want to abuse of your patience. We also have a lot of things going on in terms of recruitment, like internal management staff. Also, we are exploring quite exhaustively applications in the context of esports, gaming, even using Kleros for betting platforms. Just mentioning that, I mean, I can speak more about this next week in the call on Telegram next Wednesday. Yeah, and we might have a football game in Buenos Aires by, I think, end of January, to be confirmed. So if you want to see the Kleros team shining in the field, maybe, I mean, we can let you know. It's to be confirmed, okay? Well, I guess that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much for coming, and well, and see you around.
See you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. See you later.
Everyone.